He's always holding it at arm's length. So he can't crack his wig. It must be on his mind all the time, right? It was the only thing he feared, that wig coming off in public, and this ridiculous lie being exposed. He was in the army, he was hard as nails, wasn't scared of anyone or anything, spiders, snakes, roads, wasn't scared of cancer. How's the chemo going, Uncle? Not a problem. We got a photo of him, and the last year, I think, he was 75, yeah, must have been his last year he was alive, right? And it was a hot day, and he was in the garden in his little trunks, right? He was a wizened little man by then, and white chest hair, jet black wig still. Died in it, buried in it. Buried it now. A little skeleton with jet black hair, right? Like Posh Spice for eternity, right? But I knew all that was going to happen. I knew I was going to get old and fat and ill and blind and deaf and shit myself and be pushed in a fucking bucket, right? Ready for that, because you're warned, you know everything about getting old, right? Well, one thing they don't talk about, and so you're not prepared. It's a shock to me, right? I only found out about it recently, and I'm going to share it with you now. Distending testicles. I didn't see, you don't know about it, right? But it happens in your 50s, right? I wasn't checking them or anything, but I didn't see them for 20 years, right? But all I know is, as a young man, they were pert, and now they're like two plums in a sock, right? I don't know when it happened, but it was recently, right? They just, and this is how I found out, right? So as I've been getting older, and they've been secretly stretching away, right? As I've been getting older, I've been getting richer, so my baths have been getting more and more luxurious, right? And last year, I moved into a new house in Hampstead, right? I had a big bath, but in a big sunken bath. Oh, south-facing windows. I was in there, like, the first night. Like, oh, lovely bath. Sun streaming, classical music on. I thought, this is the life. I looked down, and they're floating, right? Now, I'd never dreamt that testicles would float. Seemed like they'd be heavy, that you could tie things down with them. They'd sit, do you know what I mean? And most people never see their... Like you've got trunks on, in a shower they dangle, and baths aren't usually that deep. And that was my first thought. Oh my God, I never thought testicles would float, right? And then my second thought kicked in, which was, hold on, bath's 2 feet deep, right? And I'm sitting on the bottom, and they're at the top. What is going on? Right? And I look, and my testicles are now longer than my penis, right? Easily, by some way, right? In fact, they'd created like a fleshy sort of life raft, right? My penis was dry, just nestled, just floating on top, like that. Just bouncing around. I should have given it a little whistle. No, I'm just looking at this thing, this is bizarre, fucking hell, right? And I thought maybe it's a fluke. So to test it, I held them under the water for a minute, and I let them go, and they bobbed up. They're really buoyant, right? So try it when you get home, if you're in your 50s, right? And a man, obviously. Or Caitlyn Jenner. But the world is worse. And I blame the beginning of its demise on social media. Because Twitter and Facebook, that's where this ridiculous notion bred, right, and became stable, that it was more important to be popular than right. Everything was like me, agree with me. It falls into two tribes. Oh, I don't agree with them, so I'd block them, right? And now, in this post-truth era, people don't care about the argument. They don't look at the argument. They say, who's saying the argument? No, they're on our side, right? It's ludicrous, okay? It also bred this ridiculous notion we've always had. My opinion is worth as much as your opinion. But now we've got my opinion is worth as much as your fact, which is nonsense. I get tweets from people saying, well, I believe the Earth is 6,000 years old. Well, I believe you're a fucking idiot then, right? You can't have an opinion on the age of the Earth. You can have your own opinions, but you can't have your own, right? But it was all about being popular, right? And even politicians picked up those symptoms. Politicians tweet now, they want to be popular. We had a referendum about Brexit because they were passing, they didn't want to make a mistake. So, and the other thing is this ridiculous thing of, oh, let's ask the average person what they think. Let's stop asking the average person what they... Do you know how fucking stupid the average person is? We still sell bottles of bleach with big labels on that say, do not drink, right? Let's take those labels off, right? For 2 years, and then have a referendum. But it's not just politicians, even real news. The news on TV says things like, well, tweet us your news. No, don't let them tweet you the news. I saw Tyrannosaurus Rex, you liar, right? There was a big news story last year, right? It was about a train crash. Now, the train crash had happened about a year before, and there was a big inquiry. And the results of the inquiry were published this day, and so there was an expert on the news, and he was saying, we've looked at everything, and we've decided that the speed of the trains on this particular line were a contributing factor to the accident, so we're going to slow them down a little bit, and statistically speaking, this should never happen again, right? That should have been the end of it. But the guy went, wow, we went out and asked the general public what they thought. So then there was 3 banal vox pops. The first one said, well, I already pay £960 a year, so I'm not happy, right? And the next one said, well, it'll be 45 minutes each way, so it's not good enough. And the last one said, well, I always say it's better to arrive at work late than dead. Why is that on the news? And not applicable in any situation? You know what I mean? Go, all right, Ted, you're in early. Ted? Oh, Ted. We've been through this. Remember I said I'd rather you arrive late than dead? But the big is stupidity, right? I'll share with you the most stupid tweet I ever got, I think. All right. Now, admittedly, when I first got on Twitter, I pushed my agenda a little bit. I was an outspoken. Not because I thought I'd change anyone's opinions, but because I thought it was important to tell the other side, you know. There are still 13 countries where people are put to death just for being an atheist, and people bullied, and I just wanted to say, it's fine to be an atheist, it's fine to believe in God, and it's fine not to. That's all I was saying, really. And then I realised I didn't even have to tweet about religion or atheism. I could just tweet a fact, and that annoyed just the right people, right? I tweet things like, happy birthday, Earth, 4.6 billion years old today. And someone would always go, oh, we know what you're fucking doing, we know what you're doing, right? So, this is a tweet I got from someone after one of those, right? And it was all in capitals, which excited me. That's the sign of Twitter madness, mixed with anger. It's great, right? And I looked at his profile. Sure enough, he's a gentleman from Texas. He's a fundamentalist, creationist Christian, right? Which is fine. He loves God. He loves God and fetuses, mainly. He loves the fetus from conception to when it turns out gay. And then he's... Right. So, remember, it's all in capitals. He's shouting at me, right? Best tweet ever, right? Your science, my science, right? Science, by the way, is spelled S-C-I-E-N-T-S. Already good, isn't it? I mean, he's obviously heard the word. He took a guess. Never seen it written down, because it's not in the Bible. So he's... Your science won't help. Well, it will. It's helping him beam this little message up to a satellite and down to me. Your science won't help. And Satan, of course he believes in Satan. Why wouldn't he? He believes that God made the universe in 6 days. You're not going to say to him, do you believe in Satan? And he's going to say, bit far-fetched. Why doesn't God kill Satan? That's what I'd ask him. If I was wrong and I met God and I go, oh, you do exist? Yeah. I go, well, in which case, I've got a few fucking questions, mate. In fact, the first one would be, why did you make chocolate kill dogs? What's... mental. Also, if you hate homosexuality so much, why did you put the male G-spot up the arse? What is wrong with you? Then I'd say, why don't you kill Satan? And he'd go, what? Why don't you kill Satan? If he does all the bad stuff and you do all the good stuff, yeah, and you want good stuff, yes, yeah. I mean, you do want, yes, yeah. And you could kill him, couldn't you, if you wanted? Yes, because you can do anything easy, yeah. Why don't you kill him then? Because, shut up. Your science won't help you when Satan is raping your British ass. And he's got a point. Because if I die and I find myself in hell being raped by Satan, science has pretty much let me down. But it's this last line that he just throws away. The line that he signs off with makes the best tweet I've ever received, right? Your science won't help you when Satan is raping your British ass. I'll be laughing. So, he's there too. So he's a fundamentalist Christian who's lived his life by the Old and New Testament. He dies, he wakes up in hell, right? Which must be off the charts on the scale of emotional trauma for a Christian. You want to go, oh my God, I'm in hell. Oh my God, why have you forsaken me? I'm in hell, it's the worst place. No, it's for eternity. I'm going to be tortured for eternity. He sees me getting raped, goes, suddenly over it, is he? Is he suddenly got a little bit brighter, right? Like he's not next, right? So he says, I'm raped, right, by the devil, right? And he's just there, you fucking atheist scum, right? And yeah, whatever, right? Because I mean, I assume it happens all, it's like an eternity, so I'm, yeah, whatever, go on your feet. I might say, watch your hooves on my testicles, And he'll go, why are they so distended? And I go, oh, like you're Brad Pitt. You know what I mean? Sorry, are we talking or raping? You fucking atheist. He's probably bored, and he's fucking atheist every fucking day, like that, right? And his little gargoyle comes up and he goes, Satan. And he goes, what? And I go, yeah, what? And he goes, there's a fundamentalist Christian up here. Fuck this, he'd be on him like a ton of bricks, wouldn't he? So, I got that tweet, I loved it, and all I did was retweet, right? And just watch the fun, people piling on, going, loser, and all this stuff. And he's fighting back really witlessly, saying things like, go fuck your sister, you English faggot. That makes no sense at all. And I forgot about it, went off, did something, came back. A few hours later, I'm on Twitter again. I think, oh, what's happening there, right? And it's still all going off, right? It's really funny. I'm laughing at all the replies, like people saying things to him, right? I'm scrolling down. There's one tweet just directly to me from this woman. She says, what, you find rape funny? No. What? No. What? Ricky Gervais find rape funny? No. Listen, what? Ricky Gervais find rape funny? No. Listen, everyone. Listen, right? No. So I said to her, no, I didn't tweet that. She went, no, you retweeted it. I went, well, yeah, just to show you he's an idiot. I just showed her, well, yeah, but you must find it funny. You must find it amusing. It's not, no, it's not a frivolous thing to be laughing. I said, well, no, I just, so I said, well, it's up to him, isn't it? I go, well, not really. So I said, well, it is up to him. He can do it. So now I'm arguing with quite a nice, sane person, presumably, who thinks this sort of thing's mental. But I'm for his right to fantasize about me being raped by the devil. Right? Because I'm so conscious of freedom of speech. Whoopsie-turvy world, right? Although her opening gambit annoyed me a little bit as well, because she did that thing that people do. She said, she didn't say, what, you find jokes about rape funny. She said, what, you find rape funny? And the answer to that is no, of course not. No one finds rape funny. Not even rapists find rape funny. Do you know what I mean? There's never been anyone giving evidence going, well, it was dark and wearing a ski mask and he was giggling. That's never... I sent back, do you mean jokes about rape? She said, yes. Depends on the joke. Fucking does. No, it does. No, it does. It does. Depends on the joke. I said, of course it does. It's about context. It's about the content. Right? I said, what do you mean by a rape joke? And she said, even a joke with the word rape in it is unacceptable. I said, that's ridiculous. It depends what the joke is. I said, and I tweeted that clip of me in the office going, I think rape up there. Right? And everyone gets that because of the context. The target is a middle-aged man who's so narcissistic, he'll say the most horrendous thing to get attention to win a silly game. So you have to understand the joke and where it's going and where it comes from. And I said, jokes don't punch up or down. They don't punch anywhere. They can just be a little pun, a silly play on words that don't really mean anything, right? And the example I gave was a joke that went around when I was a kid. Even adults told it, right? I'll tell you, it was a woman goes running into a police station. She says, help, help, I've been raped. And the policeman says, do you mean rape? She says, no, there was a bunch of them. Right? That is a rape joke, right? So, and I even said to her, I said, no, I agree in most, yeah, real rape jokes. Rape jokes where they're fucking horrible and the victim is the target. They're disgusting. I'd never tell those. But it depends on the joke, not the word or the subject, right? And I think I calmed it down. I said, and they agreed, yeah, some jokes are worse than others, right? And she ended it with saying, well, okay, I see your point, but still, I will laugh at a joke with the word rape in it when I know that no one in the audience has been raped, right? I should have left it. I just back, what a weird door policy. It's rubbing salt in the wound, isn't it? You turn up to a comedy gig, you pay your money, then someone says, oh, before you go in, love, can I just ask you Yeah. Have you ever been raped? I have, yes. You can't come in. What? Why? There's a lady, she won't laugh if you're in. Come on, off you go, right? But again, that's what the world is like. People take everything personally. I think the world revolves around them, right? Particularly on Twitter. I don't know, I'm not tweeting anyone, I'm just tweeting, okay? I don't know who's following me. I've got 12 million followers. I don't know who's following me. They can be following me without me knowing, right? Choose to read my tweet and then take that personally. That's like going into a town square, big notice board, and there's a notice, guitar lessons, and you go, but I don't fucking want guitar lessons. What's this? There's a number here. All right, call that, right? Are you giving me guitar lessons? Yeah. I don't fucking want any. Fine, it's not for you then. Just walk away. Put it back here. I should say one thing as defence. I mean, I use it as a marketing tool and for fun, like everyone else, right? But one great thing about Twitter, for me personally, I'm very sort of anti-animal cruelty. And years ago, it would take ages to get 100,000 signatures on a petition standing outside Tesco's or something, right? And that's the magic number, because then it gets heard, in Parliament. And I've been many campaigns through Twitter that we've got 100,000 signatures in days, maybe. And the law's been changed. So thank you to anyone who's ever retweeted anything to do with animal cruelty, because it really makes a difference. So thank you. But even something as like clear and distinct as animal cruelty, right? You think no one's going to argue with that, are they? Yes, they will, right? They just want to be heard, right? Our tweet something about a bull being tortured in a bull ring, right, for entertainment. They ban bullfighting. Someone always says, "What about the kids in Syria?" What? Well, I'm not giving you a choice. I'm not. You can do both. I'm not saying throw that kid back in the hole, there's a bull here, right? And there's one thing that I didn't want in my head, but it exists, so we got to deal with it now, that I found out through Twitter. There's a thing called the Yulin Dog Meat Festival in China every year, and it's horrendous. And we send people with money to buy the dogs to come back, but it's a drop in the ocean. They eat tens of thousands over this weekend, and I tweet the details. They're horrendous in a petition. People don't really read it. It's a knee-jerk. People say, racist. I go, what? They go, well, We eat pigs and cows in the West. Yeah, I don't, but yeah, I used to, right? Sure. And you're right, yeah. A pig is worth as much as a dog. A cow is worth as much as a dog. It's not about the species. It's what they do to these poor dogs. And what they do is they torture the dogs first because they think it makes the meat taste better. They beat them. They blowtorch them. They even skin them alive. And I saw this picture on Twitter of this opening of this ceremony. These two guys in this Chinese square, and they're skinning this dog alive, and it's screaming, and they're laughing. I thought, that's the worst thing I've ever seen. Can I tweet that? I thought, yeah, I've got to. So I tweeted the picture with a petition, and I just said, one beautiful creature and two ugly cunts skinning it alive, right? And it took off, loads of retweets, and it made the press. I got one tweet back from a woman that said, is that language necessary? I should have left it, right? But I was incensed. I said, you're more offended by a word than by an animal being tortured to death. She said, I just hate the C word. Definitely should have left it. I sent back, people who hate the C word would hear it a lot less if they didn't go around acting like such cunts. Thank you. Good night. You've been fantastic. Good night. Cheers, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I enjoyed the show. I hope no one was offended. No, I really do, because that's never the point. I've always wanted people to know they can laugh at bad things without being bad people. And I think it's my upbringing. As I say, grew up in poverty with nothing, right? But the point was to pay your way, then have a laugh. That was the men. The women carried on working, obviously. But it was my older brother, Bob, who was about 11 years older than me, and it was him who I first saw making these dark jokes right in the bad situation. While the bad things were happening, he was making jokes about it, and people were laughing, and I realised, oh, he's healing them. That's what comedy's for. That's what humour's for. It gets us over bad stuff, right? Typical Bob story. He once spent an hour in the pound shop in Hayling Island just asking the how much everything was. Just to see if he could break this poor man's will. And Bob was the first person I saw answer back to authority. And the first authority you come across are your parents, right? And he'd have an argument. He'd get in trouble. He'd get sent to bed, right? But I thought, no, he won the argument, though, right? And he teased my mum. And so my mum was a typical working-class woman in that, as I say, we lived in a shitty area, right? And most of the houses had like a bit of mud and a stolen bike and fence posts missing. She mended the fence, she turfed the garden herself, she painted the step, because she thought, if it looked respectable, we'd be respectable. So it was reputation, I guess. And so Bob would send her postcards that just read, is that paedophile postman still reading your mail? And she'd take it and she'd go in and she'd be horrified and she'd call Bob and go, he saw it this time, you've got to stop doing that. At her funeral, my mum died first, and my dad carried on for a year or so, just drinking beer in the garden, and he went, right? But for my mum's funeral, we sort of split up into different duties. I went and did sort of cake, flowers, and Bob went to see the local vicar. That was a mistake, right? We'd never been to church. He didn't know us. We didn't know him. So he just said to Bob, tell me about your mum so I can say a few words. And Bob saw that as an opportunity, right? So Bob, with a straight face, said to him, well, she was a keen racist. And the vicar went, oh, I can't say. Bob went, OK, but she liked gardening, right? And he was trying to get something past the vicar, so the vicar would say something and make us laugh in church. He didn't warn us, right? And he did get something by the vicar. So we're called Ricky, Robert, Bob, Ricky, Robert, Marsha, and Larry. Now, Larry is the oldest. He's in his 70s, born in the war, right? I've always thought he was the sensible one, OK? I suppose firstborn, weight of the world on his shoulders. In fact, my mum told me that when he was a teenager, he got a job and he gave her the money to bring up the rest of us to help out, right? So he's a stand-up guy, Larry, right? So Bob gives the vicar the wrong name. Didn't warn us. We're all in church, right? Start of the funeral, we're all there, right? Packed out, right? The coffin comes down, guided by the vicar, the coffin gets out. The vicar goes to his pulpit, all confident with his little notes, right? And he goes, Eva leaves behind 4 loving children, Ricky, Robert, Marsha, and Barry. And we stopped like that, right? Bob's right. Everyone realised what's that. We were all fucking laughing. We see Larry go. Right? And the church. Every time we thought of it, people would go. We Larry go. Right. And it would just start giggling, just fits and fucking giggles, right? And Larry eventually sort of started doing this. Right? And the vicar's thinking, what have I said, right? And he put in a few little things that the vicar would know about that he said would set us off again, just things that were just lies or just slightly wrong. My niece and nephew started crying, and I'd come prepared, right, with a little packet of those tissues. I was giving them those, and they were taking one and handing it on. But before the funeral, I'd taken all the tissues out, written on them, carefully folded them back and put them in. So they were pulling out a tissue and it said, snivelling fucking bitch, right? And they're sort of laughing, right? So it was like a madhouse, right? Everything said or did, we all started just fucking laughing, right? And you could see the vicar was visibly sort of shook a little bit, right? Ended the funeral, and he made a beeline over for me and Bob, right? And he came and said, sorry, was that okay? And Bob went, it was fucking brilliant, mate. It was fucking brilliant, mate. And that's what I'm about. We're all going to die, so we should have a laugh. If you can laugh in the face of adversity, you're bulletproof, okay? And me and my brother Bob had one simple rule, and that was, if you think of something funny, you've got to say it, right? Win, lose, or draw, right? It might go well. It might go badly, but you've got to say it. And bear that in mind as I leave you with this, right? So, we're all in the car one day, right? Bob's driving, right? Packed in this car, little day trip to the beach, right? And we get stopped, little security, right? And there's a British there, like that, and he just stops the car. He went, can you just pop the boot, please? So he looks there, looks in the boot, like that. Yeah, like, goes back up to Bob's window, gets that mirror on a stick thing, and he starts just looking under the car, like that. And as he does that, his helmet falls off, right? And out of the helmet falls a packet of 20 cigarettes. And the copper just went, oh, I bet you wonder what we kept under our helmets. And Bob went, I knew it wasn't fucking brains. You've been amazing. Good night.